Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Friday, 29 August. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about Bosnia has set early elections in the Serbian region as the crisis deepens. The US has ended the tariff exemption for low-cost packages. And Germany, France and Spain are discussing the fighter jet program in October, says Berlin. So firstly, Bosnia's autonomous Serbian Republic will hold an early election on November 23, the Balkan country's election commission announced on Thursday, despite opposition from the region's separatist leader and their parliament. The election commission called the election for a new president of the Serb Republic to try resolve a standoff in which they stripped the pro-Russian Serb nationalist of the presidency, but he has refused to step aside. So what? It seems highly likely that this move will be unpopular in the Serbska region, which will likely cause massive issues in a pretty complex political environment, let's say. So he's extremely popular, from what I understand, with the people in that region, and they are unlikely to try and vote for anyone else, despite him being banned from politics by the Bosnian, interior government. So what will happen is they'll try and vote him back in, and it'll just lead to a standoff, I think, in my opinion. This could ratchet tensions up to another level and could possibly lead to authorities attempting to arrest him, which could possibly lead to some localized conflict, as both Bosnia and Serbia said they would support his position. So this could lead to some pretty significant tensions in the region. And next, the US tariff exemption on packages shipments valued under $800 ended on Friday, raising costs and disrupting supply chains models for e-commerce companies, small businesses using online marketplaces, and consumers alike. The US Customs and Border Protection Agency began collecting normal duty rates on all globally imported parcels, regardless of value, country of origin, or mode of transport, from lunchtime midnight on Friday. It offered a flat duty rate of $80 to $200 per package shipped from postal agencies for 6 months. So what? I mean, this is going to directly affect me. It's basically the end of being able to ship packages into the US, and now they're basically cut off from the rest of the world in terms of products. It's likely that most Americans won't care, but Americans that have friends and other interests outside of the US will feel the brunt of this. It seems pretty ruthless. Cutting down, I can understand it when it's small packages coming from China, where people are buying, lots of products or lots of cheap clothing, etc., etc. But doing it for people in Europe where stuff like that isn't made and people are just buying consumer goods seems a bit wild, but I guess this is just an extension of Trump's policies, so it kind of makes sense. And lastly, Germany, France and Spain's defence ministers will meet in October to work out options for getting the FCAS joint fighter jet program back on track, the German defence minister said on Thursday. Acknowledging that the project had taken steps back, he said that the ministers would identify stumbling blocks and solutions before presenting leaders with options for final decisions later in the year. So what? It's likely that the US defense industry won't like this, as a European-made fifth-generation fighter jet would possibly come in and try and steal jobs away from, steal people buying it away from them. However, it's likely they'll need quite a bit of US technology for it, so it's probably not the biggest deal in the world. But yeah, getting a joint fighter jet program back on track is going to be a pretty challenging effort. But with the renewed emphasis on European defence and security, it's possible that it'll be worth the juice will be worth the squeeze. Yeah. Outside of that, it'll be good for Europe. Making their own fighter jets could be good for European industry and European defence companies to get this going. Whether it's actually viable in the modern day, I don't know. Seems like it's worth some effort, but whether it's worth a large sum of money, I don't really know. Focusing on this and not focusing on other more recent developments in weaponry, such as small off-the-shelf drones or 3D printed drones, seems strange, but I guess you can do both. So that's possibly the plan. But we will see. Not everything's ever public, so you never know what people are doing in the background. But thank you for listening. That's been your Intel Brief, and I'll see you again on Monday. See you.